Merriment guys, this is Kids and Witchcraft Part 2 where I'll be talking about health and safety when it comes to an underage person practicing witchcraft. There are three main things I want to talk about. I want to talk about fire safety, I want to talk about allergy safety, and I want to talk stranger danger. And I'll start with fire safety. As we all know, quite a lot of teen spell books call for candles and incense to be used at all times in rituals and in spell work, which I think is completely preposterous, considering that most young people, I think the average age for a teen witch these days is about 15 or 16, so they should be fairly sensible, but not sensible enough, especially because at that age you could be quite a lot more clumsy because you're just getting used to your adult body, which means that you might suddenly have bigger hands than you used to, and you're like, oh, and you're like, you can't control it as your hand-eye coordination as well, which means that if you've got candles in the area and you knock one over whilst it's lit, the whole place is going to go kaboom. Especially as in teenagers' bedrooms you do get loads of gadgets and gizmos. It's just a fire hazard waiting to happen. So, yeah. So, what would I suggest then? Firstly, if you must have candles, and you're insistent and you must use them, tell your parents that you're burning candles and incense, and don't do it in your bedroom. Do it in the kitchen, because that's the safest place for you to do so, because you can contain everything in your kitchen sink, and if something tumbles over then it's no big deal. You can just turn the tap and obviously put it out nice and safely. Make sure that there's someone in the house that's obviously an adult, so if you do have any problems then you can call for help, and if you've told them that you're using candles earlier then they won't be cross with you. In fact, they'll say thank you, and you're showing that you're being mature about the situation. So, you know, it's another good reason why your parents should know about your witchcrafty ways, because it's for safety if anything else. I also want to quickly talk about allergies and other food related things. There is a type of witchcraft called kitchen witchcraft, or kitchen witchery, depending on how you want to call it, which uses a lot of herbs and a lot of foody items. What you have to be careful with is certain herbs have certain properties which aren't necessarily positive. For example, pennyroyal and rue both have abortive qualities. So if one of your family members is pregnant and a spell calls for rue or pennyroyal to be used, really consider whether you should be casting that spell, because having the stuff even in the house is extremely dangerous for someone who is pregnant, or if you've got a family friend coming over who is expecting a baby. Basically just don't have it. That's again just common sense. And also, if you're making a hand cream or whatever, you're making a product for someone with magical intent, and they might have, you need to ask them if they've got any allergies, especially if you're giving them a herb or if you're giving them a food item, in case they come out in an allergy and you'll get the blame, and you know, it's not fun. So basically make sure that you look after yourself as well. If you are allergic to something and a spell calls for something that you're allergic to, either adapt the spell, which is quite easy to do, or really consider whether you should really be casting it. The last thing I want to quickly talk about is stranger danger, both online and out in the big wide world. Online you meet all sorts of people, because it's easier for people to meet up, because nowadays everyone has Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, MySpace, all these random social networking sites. Everybody has them now. I mean, I've got my blog, I've got my Facebook, I've got my Twitter, well, personal Twitter. I don't have a Witchcraft and Me Twitter, but I have a personal Twitter, personal Facebook, and professional Facebook, and obviously, yeah, you know, I'm a huge internet presence, so I have to be particularly careful when doing stranger danger stuff. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of people who are on witchcraft sites use separate Facebook pages for that and stuff like that, which I think is okay, but you have to be really, really careful because, yeah, you just have to be really careful because people obviously might not be who they say they are, because you do get some severe wackos on the internet who will say, oh yeah, I'm a pagan, but will actually be someone else. They could be someone who is fundamentally Christian and want to obviously try and really upset you. I've not had that yet, but we've had it on the Facebook page once. We had someone join who turned out to be very Christian and harassed us for a while, for example. Just in general, people are warped in incredibly weird ways. Like cult leaders, for example, might try and find you on Facebook, say, yeah, I'm Wiccan, whatever you are. And they might look at things up online to make it look like they know what they're talking about. But really, they're trying to make you join their cult. So again, you have to be really careful. And it's kind of the same in the big wide world. If you're meeting up someone from online, so say you've met a high priestess online and you're going to meet her to discuss joining her coven, then take someone trusted with you, even if it's your best friend, a parent. Also tell your parents where you're going and who you're meeting and where you'll be meeting them. Always meet in a public place or in a neutral public place, so like a coffee shop or a cafe, restaurant, that kind of place, or the pub. Basically somewhere where you're in public, so if something does go wrong, you can cry out for help and someone will listen. Also make sure that you know what you're talking about as well. Make sure so basically know what they should be saying, because if they say something else, alarm bells can ring and then you know when to get out. Also have a system in place, so if something does kind of go wrong, that you can say like a code word to your friend that wouldn't seem, or do like a code signal to say, look, I want to leave, without the other person notice, like the high priestess or whoever you're meeting, noticing that you're saying it so it doesn't look odd to her, but it's obviously an important signal to you. So you might say, oh, if I tap the table 3 times with my index right with this hand, then I feel uncomfortable and I think we should leave, and then create some sort of excuse that you both can talk about, or get your friend to phone your phone and then you can answer it and pretend that you're talking to someone and go, yep, I need to go, sorry, we need to go, it's a family emergency or what have you. You know, it's basically that sort of thing you need to know, because you do hear some terrible stories of teenagers being kidnapped by wackos because they've met them online, meeting them in person without knowing these safety tips, and then obviously horrible things happen to them. So, and I think you have to be especially careful when it's the pagan community, not because we're all wackos, we're all lovely people, but because it's quite an issue that's quite sensitive, they can use that against you, so you have to be really, really careful. So yeah, that's the Kids and Witchcraft Part 2, the final part. I'm so glad that people liked the first video, and I hope people like the second video as well. So yeah, blessed be everyone, and best of luck.